Back with another review, and this is for DJ Donnelly. He also wanted me to talk about and review RoboCop, the original. And this is the trilogy Blu-ray pack. And I'll pull it out real quick to show you. Yeah, each has its own disc, which is pretty cool. I actually got this at a grocery store for a few bucks. As far as like bonus materials up here, you have a Q&A with the filmmakers, Flesh and Steel, the making of RoboCop, RoboCop creating a legend, 1987 featurettes, the shooting and making of, storyboard with commentary, deleted scenes, villains of old Detroit, special effects then and now, commentary with director Paul Verhoeven, writer and executive producer. So yeah, and it's one of these things like, what more can you say about the original? I don't know if I'll go along on this review because, to talk about the first movie, you had to talk about review the sequels, which is something that I want to do here, down the road, is, go back and go more in depth on these films. But I did rewatch the first one again, and it's a classic. I mean, it's Detroit, and it's written with crime, and you got OCP, and great cast. I mean, Peter Weller as Alex Murphy, RoboCop. You got Kurtwood Smith as Clarence Boddicker. Can you fly, Bobby? And just a great villain. This movie has a few good, villains in here. I mean, you got Ronnie Cox, who would work with Verhoeven again for Total Recall. You have Miguel Ferrer. I believe that's how you say his name, but yeah, he plays Morton in the film. And yeah, I mean, it's such a great movie. And also, I mean, you got to mention some other people in the cast, like, was it Nancy Travis? I don't know why the name's leaving me. Yeah, Nancy Allen. I don't know why I was thinking. I think Nancy Travis is another actress, but Nancy Allen. I was getting the Nancys confused. But you also have, again, Ronnie Cox. You have Kurtwood Smith. You have Ray Wise as one of the villains and their little group. And, everyone kind of knows the story, the plot. But, yeah, I mean, everything from... And, how the film opens up with how they have the media. And, I think about all the stuff that's going on now, and it's like, we need a RoboCop. And we need a RoboCop on the streets to take out this bullshit. And it's interesting how the film opens up with this media, and it's like it's definitely a reflection of today. And it's just interesting how they kind of play on that. But, and so you can say it's ahead of its time. I mean, this is 1987. And, just a great year for movies. You had Predator that came out that year. You had Lethal Weapon. You had, what's some other films? I mean, you had comedies like 3 Men and a Baby, Inner Space, Lost Boys. So, I mean, just a great year for movies. And, like I said, I definitely want to go more in depth on this film because I want to talk about and review the sequels. I like RoboCop 2. RoboCop 3, not so much. It's a bad movie. But, from Peter Weller's performance as RoboCop is great. And, the supporting cast, the villains. I mean, Dead or Alive, You're Coming With Me. You got memorable lines, great dialogue that people still quote to this day. And memorable villains. You had, like I mentioned, Kurtwood Smith as, Clarence Boddicker, Can You Fly, Bobby? Bitches Leave. And that's the thing about this movie too. It's very quotable. And you got the stuff going on with Ronnie Cox, his character, Dick Jones, where Miguel Ferrer's character is trying to, out Ronnie Cox's character, and he gets revenge on Morton, that character. And then you got scenes where in between, or before that, RoboCop is taking out crime in Detroit. I mean, they got the scene where the guy's in the store, and he's robbing the store, and RoboCop walks in, he's like, fuck me, fuck me! And he gives him like a clothesline, and takes him out. Then you got another scene where, this, like, he has this one girl hostage, this criminal, and he shoots him in the dick. and just very ultra violent, Paul Verhoeven style. I mean, it's just great violence. I mean, especially how you got the scene where they shoot him up in the beginning, the criminals, when he goes to the factory to confront these criminals, Boddicker's crew, and they shoot him up, and I mean, just blood splashing everywhere, and it's very looking for the word ultra violent, and he gets shot up the hill, and from there, he gets picked to become RoboCop, which the suit, which I know Peter Weller had some difficulty with the suit, and you can see, the hard work that was put into this movie, and, Peter Weller wearing that suit, which I know that there was some behind the scenes stuff where, he had a hard time with the suit, and it was very difficult to work in, which at some, like I said, hopefully at some point down the line here, I want to like go more in depth on this movie. This is sort of like quick thoughts, a quick review. But, Peter Weller's great. I keep mentioning that. But the suit, I was talking about the suit. See how I kind of go all over the place? But it's like, with this movie, it's like, what more can you say that hasn't been said? It's a classic. It's an 80s classic. And, the RoboCop look, it's a memorable look, and it's a character that 33 years later, people still talk about this character. And people still talk about, the lines. This is why we need RoboCop. No, I'm playing, but yeah. I think that guy lives next door, but I mean, just the look of RoboCop is iconic, and it's something that, again, people still talk about 33 years later. People still quote this movie, Dead or Alive, You're Coming With Me, what are your prime directives, bitches leave, can you fly, Bobby, and, we killed you. And then, like, towards the end of the film, where you got the whole finale at the factory, where Boddicker and his crew, they're trying to take out RoboCop, and you have that Cobra assault rifle weapon that like blows shit up. And again, they're going after RoboCop in the factory, and he's picking off these guys, and you have the one character that drives into the toxic waste, and he comes out of it like his body's melted down, and then Boddicker runs over him, and it's just, great violence. It's weird to say great violence, but, that's Paul Verhoeven for you. Just great Paul Verhoeven violence, which, of course, after this, he would go on to direct Total Recall and Basic Instinct. And, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I was trying to think of some other stuff to mention, but you get RoboCop fighting crime in the middle of the film, and you got a good shootout where even before the factory at the end, there's this other factory where RoboCop goes into, and you have some great shootouts there, and he's throwing Boddicker around, and he's like It's Dick Jones! It's Dick Jones! And he's, you know, beating the shit out of him, beating the shit out of Boddicker. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know what more I can add to this. I mean, it's a classic, and a lot of iconic moments, iconic scenes, with an iconic character that people still talk about. This character 33 years later. People don't remember the reboot with Joe Kinnaman because that came and went like a fart in church. You know, who remembers that? Nobody. Exactly. Who remembers Joe Kinnaman? Nobody. And didn't Joe Kinnaman say, oh, that film won't just be choppy robot action and jaw movement? Yeah, remember when he said that? When Joe Kinnaman's like, yeah, my RoboCop won't just be choppy robot action and jaw movement. Eat that, Kinnaman. And who's talking about your film now? Nobody, but we still talk about RoboCop. We still talk about the 1987 classic. Not the 2014 piece of crap, mediocre, you know, reboot. But, you know, to sort of wrap up, I guess, you know, it's a classic. It's a classic of the 80s with a great cast. Peter Weller, you know, Nancy Allen, Ronnie Cox, you know, Miguel Ferrer, who played Morton. And Ed 209, I almost forgot to mention that. Ed 209, you know, another iconic, you know, element of this movie. And then, you know, there's this little fight between RoboCop and Ed 209. Then Ed 209 shows up at the very end when RoboCop goes back to OCP to confront Dick Jones, and he blows the shit out of Ed 209. So, yeah, I mean, just a lot of great stuff here. And like I said, I know this is not much of a review. It's more like quick thoughts, sort of, you know, talking about a classic. Because like I said, I definitely want to go more into this down the line when I go back and, you know, watch all three. But, yeah, RoboCop, at the end of the day, it's a great movie. And I would say my favorite Paul Verhoeven film, Peter Weller, I don't know, it seems like he doesn't really talk about... It's weird because he'll do the... Didn't he do the KFC commercials or something recently with RoboCop? And, you know, he voiced the character for the Mortal Kombat game. So it's like you only talk about RoboCop for the right amount, for the right check. I'm like, Peter Weller, come on, man. I mean, just talk about this character, talk about RoboCop. You know, stop. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't him in the KFC commercials. It probably, I think it was. And maybe I'm just kind of losing my mind a little bit. But I do know that he came back to voice the character for the new Mortal Kombat game. So it's like, you know, I don't know, just Peter Weller's weird on that. But so yeah, I mean, and you can say that all these features up here are mostly more so for the first movie. But I still like RoboCop 2 a lot. To me, that's an underrated sequel. But yeah, RoboCop, a classic, iconic movie, and one that people will still talk about another 30 years from now. And now more than ever, we need RoboCop. We need to put a lot of these pussies in place. And I know I shouldn't say that, but fuck it. It's RoboCop. People nowadays, kids, what have you, whatever you want to say about the youth, they need to watch some RoboCop. You know, put some hair in your chest. But yeah, I'm just blabbering. But thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this review. Thank you, DJ Donnelly. So yeah, thank you for watching, and have a good day.